Did you know that children as young as 2 can start using whining to get what they want? Shocking, right? In fact, studies show that by age 3, about 60% of toddlers have already developed a consistent whining habit. But here's the kicker. Whining isn't just annoying, it can actually affect how your child handles frustration and emotions later in life. If you've ever felt like you're at the mercy of your toddler's whines, you're not alone. The truth is, many parents unknowingly encourage this behavior without even realizing it. You might think it's harmless, but did you know that kids who whine often struggle with emotional regulation as they grow? It's true. In this video, we'll dive into the surprising reasons why your toddler is whining, and more importantly, how to break the cycle. From setting the right boundaries to teaching your child how to express their feelings, we'll cover practical, simple strategies that actually work. Stick with me, and by the end, you'll have the tools to stop the whining and start a healthier, calmer communication habit with your toddler. Let's dive in and transform the way you handle whining forever. Chapter 1. The Silent Saboteur. When you say yes too often, parents, it's easy to fall into the trap of saying yes to every request your toddler makes. After all, you want to make them happy. But here's the problem. Constant indulgence can teach your child that whining gets them what they want. A study from the Journal of Applied Developmental Psychology suggests that children raised with too few boundaries are more likely to develop an entitled attitude and exhibit negative behaviors, like whining, when they don't get their way. So, why does this happen? When toddlers know they can get what they want by simply whining, it becomes their go-to strategy. It's important to understand that saying yes all the time doesn't teach them how to deal with frustration. In fact, it can leave them unprepared for the real world, where things don't always go their way. The key here is balance. You don't have to say no to everything, but you do need to have clear boundaries. Setting limits helps your toddler feel safe and secure, and it teaches them to respect rules. A study published in Child Development found that children with consistent boundaries are better at managing their emotions and dealing with disappointment. Try to say no when necessary, but do it with empathy. For example, instead of simply refusing their request, explain why. I know you really want that toy, but we can't buy it today because we need to save money for something important. This helps them understand that there's reasoning behind your decision, which helps them accept it without turning to whining. Also, praise your child when they handle disappointment well. When your toddler reacts calmly instead of whining, give them positive reinforcement. You might say, "I'm proud of you for waiting patiently." This reinforces the behavior you want to see. If you're finding this video helpful, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on more practical parenting tips. Chapter 2. Emotionally drained? Why you're fueling the whine. Parenting can be exhausting. We've all been there. It's the end of a long day, and your toddler starts whining over something small. Your first instinct may be to give in just to stop the noise. However, this could be making things worse in the long run. A recent report from the American Psychological Association found that tired parents are more likely to react emotionally rather than thoughtfully. When you're emotionally drained, it's tempting to give in to avoid confrontation. But this only teaches your toddler that whining works, especially when they see that their behavior gets the results they want, quickly. Here's the hard truth: your emotions can drive your child's behavior. If you give in to their whining out of frustration or exhaustion, you're reinforcing the idea that whining is an effective tool. Research from the University of New Hampshire shows that children whose parents have difficulty managing stress are more likely to engage in whining and tantrums. One of the most effective strategies to combat this is to take a moment for yourself before responding. When you feel yourself getting overwhelmed, it's okay to take a deep breath. You can even say, "I need a moment to think, and then I'll help you." This not only gives you time to regain composure but also teaches your child that calm decision-making is important. Another helpful tactic is to establish a routine that includes time for self-care. Parents who prioritize their well-being, whether through exercise, socializing, or just taking quiet moments, are better able to manage the stresses of parenting without snapping. By setting a calm example, you teach your child that emotions can be managed in healthy ways. If you're feeling emotionally drained, try to focus on what your child needs at the moment, rather than the way their whining makes you feel. Gently but firmly set boundaries, and remember that their behavior is often a reflection of their emotional state, not an intentional attempt to frustrate you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insights on managing your emotions and handling toddler behavior in the best way possible. Chapter 3. Whining by Default. The danger of not teaching patience. In our fast-paced world, we've all become accustomed to instant gratification. Whether it's fast food or a quick response on our phones, waiting isn't something we're used to doing. But when toddlers don't learn the value of patience, they begin to whine when they can't get something immediately. A study from the University of California shows that children who aren't taught patience early on tend to develop more impulsive behaviors. These children struggle with frustration and are more likely to whine when things don't go as planned. This is because they haven't learned how to regulate their emotions when faced with delays or disappointments. Teaching your child patience doesn't have to be complicated. One simple way to start is by modeling patience yourself. When you're waiting for something, whether it's your turn at the grocery store or a slow download, talk about it with your toddler. It looks like we have to wait a few minutes. Let's play a game while we wait. This helps them see that waiting is just part of life, and it can even be fun. You can also introduce games that require waiting, such as Simon Says, or Red Light, Green Light. These games are not only entertaining but also reinforce the idea that waiting for your turn can be a positive experience. Start with short waits and gradually increase the length as your child gets better at controlling their impulses. Another technique is to set up small rewards for patience. If your toddler waits patiently for a few minutes, you could reward them with a sticker or a little praise. Over time, they'll begin to associate patience with positive outcomes, which helps reduce the likelihood of whining. Lastly, remember that it's important to celebrate their successes, no matter how small. When your toddler waits without whining, give them lots of praise. You might say, "I'm so proud of you for waiting so patiently." This reinforces the behavior and helps them understand that patience is a valuable skill. If you want more tips on teaching patience and other essential life skills to your toddler, hit that subscribe button. Chapter 4. Parenting by Reaction. How your responses turn whining into a habit. One of the most common parenting mistakes is reacting impulsively to your toddler's whining. When we give in to whining, whether out of frustration or to avoid a scene, we're teaching our child that their behavior works. Research shows that when parents respond emotionally to their child's demands, they reinforce the behavior. According to a study published in Developmental Psychology, inconsistent responses, either giving in or overreacting, can lead to more whining over time. So, how do we break the cycle? The first step is to recognize that reacting to every whine only keeps the habit alive. One of the best things you can do is take a deep breath before responding. Instead of giving in immediately, pause and assess the situation. Responding calmly, even when your toddler is upset, helps you set a positive example. A key strategy is to remain consistent in your responses. If you always give in to whining, your child will quickly learn that whining is the easiest way to get what they want. But if you consistently deny the whine and explain why in a calm voice, your child will begin to understand that whining doesn't get results. The Journal of Family Psychology suggests that children thrive in environments where rules and responses are predictable. For instance, instead of giving in right away, try redirecting your toddler. If they're whining for a toy, calmly say, "I know you want that toy, but let's play with this one for now." Offering an alternative helps distract them and teaches them that they can still have fun without getting everything they ask for. Sometimes, it's important to acknowledge their feelings. Saying something like, "I understand that you're upset. It's hard when we can't have what we want," shows empathy. This lets them know their emotions are valid, but it also sets a limit on the whining behavior. Remember, the key is consistency. Every time you respond with calmness and set clear boundaries, you reinforce the message that whining won't work. Over time, your child will learn to express themselves in healthier ways. Chapter 5. Are you their helicopter? How over-involvement fuels the whine. Do you find yourself constantly solving your toddler's problems or stepping in before they even ask for help? While it's natural to want to protect your child, over-involvement can actually encourage whining. A study from the University of Minnesota found that children of overprotective parents are more likely to struggle with emotional regulation and often resort to whining when things don't go their way. When parents are too involved, toddlers miss out on learning valuable coping skills. By rushing in to solve every problem, we deny them the chance to learn patience, problem-solving, and how to deal with disappointment. When toddlers are used to being rescued right away, they begin to rely on others to manage their emotions. One way to avoid this is to encourage independent play. Allow your toddler to make small decisions on their own, like choosing their clothes or deciding what game to play. This not only boosts their confidence but also helps them learn how to manage frustration when things don't go as planned. Studies from the American Journal of Play have shown that independent play helps children develop emotional resilience. Another way to combat over-involvement is by teaching your toddler how to express their emotions. If your toddler is upset about something, instead of stepping in right away, try asking them to use words. Can you tell me why you're feeling upset? Giving them the language to express their emotions helps reduce the likelihood of them resorting to whining. It's also important to give your child room to fail. When they make mistakes, instead of swooping in to fix it, use it as a teaching opportunity. Say, it's okay to make mistakes. What can we do differently next time? This helps them understand that mistakes are part of the learning process and teaches them to cope with setbacks without whining. Chapter 6. Whining or communication breakdown. How to teach better ways to ask. Whining is often a sign that your toddler is struggling to express themselves. Instead of giving in to the whine, one of the best things you can do is teach them better ways to communicate their needs. Studies show that when toddlers learn to use words instead of whining, they are better equipped to handle frustration and disappointment. The first step is to model proper communication. When you're speaking to your toddler, use clear and simple language. If they want a snack, for example, instead of saying, "Don't whine, ask nicely," model the behavior by saying, "You can ask, can I please have a snack?" Your toddler is more likely to mimic your language when they hear it regularly. It's also important to praise your toddler when they use words instead of whining. When they say, "Can I have the toy, please," instead of whining for it, give them plenty of positive reinforcement. You might say, "Great job using your words to ask for that." Positive feedback encourages them to continue using good communication skills. One helpful strategy is to give your toddler some simple phrases to use in moments of frustration. For instance, teach them to say, "I'm upset," or "Can I have help?" This gives them the tools they need to express their feelings without resorting to whining. A study from the University of Florida found that children who learn to label their emotions early on have a much easier time managing those emotions as they grow older. Sometimes, toddlers whine simply because they're too young to know how to express complex feelings. When this happens, try to help them label their emotions. If your toddler is whining because they can't get a toy, try saying, "It sounds like you're frustrated because you can't reach that toy. Can you ask for help instead of whining?" Another helpful tactic is using visual cues. For example, you can create a feeling chart with pictures of different emotions, happy, sad, frustrated, etc., and encourage your toddler to point to the face that shows how they're feeling. This can help them understand their emotions and learn how to express them more effectively. Teaching your child to communicate without whining not only reduces the noise but also boosts their emotional intelligence. When toddlers learn how to express their needs and emotions, they're better equipped to handle challenges in the future, all without the need for whining. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to subscribe for more parenting advice and tricks on handling your toddler's behavior.